Hello, everyone. My name is always Asmal. Welcome to another episode of Tooways to Skin a Cat, a show where we talk career experiences, entrepreneurship, and investments. The main aim is to show that there's more than one way to be successful other than just climbing the corporate ladder. We are live on LinkedIn and YouTube, and the show will be on podcast by tomorrow morning. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. If you are joining us live, drop a one in the comments so that we know we're not talking to ourselves, and drop a two in the comments if you're watching the recording. My guest for this week is Likeleli Monyamane, Head of Finance at the Alliance Group Investment Holding Company. She's also a founder of various organizations. She holds an MBA and she's a Psycho Top 35 Under 35. Likeleli, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this the whole week.
So let's jump straight into the meat of it. Tell us your story. Where do you come from? And even outside of work, who is Likeleli Monyamane?
Yeah, so I am a Mosotho girl. I grew up in Lesotho with my parents until they passed away. And then I grew up in South Africa. I went to school in Lovepna High School, and then I went to university at the University of the Free State. And I love sports. I grew up playing sports, playing netball provincially up until varsity, actually, until I realized I'm too short. And I decided to just leave netball altogether. I also played soccer for my varsity. I was the goalkeeper though, so please don't ask me too much about soccer. And yeah, so I'm very sporty person. I run. As an adult now, I run because I can't do like team sports and stuff like that. So it's a solo sport that I think keeps me fit and motivated. And I'm just somebody that is very passionate about social impact. So I found a way. I didn't really want to study accounting. I'm sure you'll ask me a specific question about that. But I found a way to really make the profession work for me and to do social impact projects using the skills that I've gotten as an accountant. So yeah, people that know me will say I have a lot of energy, that I'm passionate, and I really love making a difference.
Okay, no, that's a very summarized story, but we're going to go with it for now.
Yes, in detail.
You, you're busy with so many things. I looked at your LinkedIn profile, head of finance at a large company, founder of a consulting company, founder of a mentorship program. How do you manage all of these roles?
Yes, so I'll start first with basically how I got into the current role of head of finance. So I did my articles at PwC in Bloemfontein, and then about a year, I moved just the year that I qualified. I think I just spent 6 months in the firm, and then I moved to a financial planner role at a brewery. And then I decided to move to Lesotho to go and work in Lesotho because I had always been passionate. I used to do a lot of audits in Lesotho while at PwC Bloemfontein. So when I looked at, the state of the profession in Lesotho, I really thought, it's a place where someone can work and make a difference. So I moved to Lesotho, briefly worked for a family business, and then I decided to start a consulting company using my accounting skills. We were doing accounting, initially, and then it evolved into more of an entrepreneurship development type of consulting. And then in my consulting space, then I got my paths crossed with my current boss at Alliance Insurance. And we were basically talking about a project on financial inclusion for women in Lesotho. And then he basically said, wait, what's your background? And I said, I'm a chartered accountant. And he said, chartered accountant, like a Lesotho chartered accountant. And I said, no, actually, I'm actually a CASA. And he said, I don't want to hear about your financial inclusion project. I need you to come and do work for us at Alliance. And then I landed basically a consulting role at Alliance where I was focusing more on systems and process improvements and that kind of stuff. And then within 2 years, to about 2.5 years, then they offered me a permanent role of head of strategy, innovation and projects. So I really was already running my company when I joined Alliance. And all I did was obviously restructure my involvement in the company. I do have people that are working there full time that are focusing on the company. I'm more of an advisory type of person now. That's the role that I'm playing. And we started the mentorship program through the company as well. So we have people or someone that's taking care of the mentorship program, and all the other initiatives that I do, they are people that are running those initiatives. So I actually got an epiphany about having that approach to business and to initiatives when I was in Ireland in 2018. I moved to Ireland to go work for PwC for 9 months. I needed a break from Lesotho. It can get very frustrating being there. So I went to Ireland, and while working there, I attended a Global Shapers event in Belfast. And so this guy was there. He was basically in a wheelchair, paralyzed from neck down. And he was showcasing some of like the innovative projects that they were doing for people with disabilities. And he was basically, his message was, guys, you can see I'm paralyzed from neck down, but I'm telling you about all these amazing technological projects that we're doing, and I'm not doing them. There's a whole team of scientists and innovators that I'm working with. And basically that was his life philosophy, that if you want to get things done, you can't do them alone. We don't have capabilities to do things alone. And that's when I was like, oh my goodness, all the things that I really want to do, I don't have to do them myself. I could, hire people, get people in some of the projects. We are like a group of volunteers, coming together to get things done. And the thread is, I do what I'm good at, which is finance, entrepreneurship development, and then other people contribute whatever it is that they have to contribute. So that's my answer to how I get things done, how I'm involved in so many things, is I'm not necessarily there every day myself getting them done, but I do put in my resources, my money, my time, my talents, to contribute to those initiatives.
It sounds like you found a way, but you're still busy. But anyway, let's. You touched on it a little bit, saying that you worked in Ireland for a bit. Tell us a little bit more about that experience and whether you would recommend others do the same.
Yes. So this was in 2018. So I want to give that context because it was where it will explain why I really was only there for 9 months, because it was way long past, my qualification time. I qualified in 2014. So back in 2014, when I was at PwC, I got an offer to go work in Birmingham. The normal offer that you get after you qualify, getting a job overseas. And I literally got out of that opportunity at the last minute. And really, it's because I was so scared. I was so nervous. I felt auditing was very intimidating. I didn't really enjoy audit. I think a lot of people don't. So I thought I couldn't see myself like struggling in Birmingham, and without a support system. So I felt I had chickened out of that opportunity. So for a very long time, I regretted it a lot. So in 2018, I decided to just give myself that opportunity to go and find out what it is like working overseas. Sorry, my son is next to me.
No problem. Carry on.
Yes. So I decided to give myself that opportunity. So I applied. I got a recruiter. I believe it was actually on LinkedIn, and I applied and I got a job at PwC Wexford, and it was really, really a great opportunity. One of the upsides of being in Wexford, which is a smaller town than Dublin, much smaller, was that because I had a kid when I went, he was about 9 months. It's a rural area, it's a small area, so it was easier to manage a child there. It was very child friendly, unlike a city. And I moved by myself without my husband at that time. So I really, really, like the fact that I went to Wexford instead of Dublin. So in terms of general experience, working overseas, obviously you're gonna be dealing with challenges that you don't deal with here at home. I do think that South Africans, we are maybe, like, in comparison to Ireland, the business environment here is a bit more complex, I felt, and maybe it was also because I was in Wexford. But I thought the reason why I left early was I felt it was a great opportunity, but I should have taken it earlier in my career. So when I looked at where I was back here, and the opportunities that I had, I felt I had more opportunities here than back then. So I think the advice I would give to someone considering is to go, as early as possible in your career. And obviously, when you do go later, then it can be for specific objectives. So I have a friend that has worked in Lesotho all her life, and she decided to move to Ireland, last year, and she loves it because it's a different pace. So because they don't have a training program like they have for us in Saika, basically, and it's not like the training is not that demanding. She's finding so much more value because it's a whole different experience for her, and because she does want to sort of fast track, her professional skills and to get better roles overseas. So she's really enjoying that experience. So I think it really, really depends on what your objectives are. As a newly qualified accountant, I think go for it. Or regardless of what your objectives are, you will definitely get something out of it. And as a more seasoned professional, you really have to balance or be more intentional about what you want to get out of it.
I missed my opportunity just after articles, and I also regret it. So good advice there. For
Yeah.
anyone in the audience, we'll be responding to questions towards the end. So please add your questions to the comment section now so that we don't miss them.
Right.
As someone, normally a lot of people who do MBAs work in big corporates. As someone who's done an MBA and has also gone through the entrepreneurial journey, where did you learn more about running a successful business? Is it in the trenches of that business or during your MBA studies?
Yeah, so that's a tough question. So basically, the reason I decided to do an MBA, especially particularly at the institution that I did it. So I did it with the African Leadership University. So they started the African Leadership Academy that is based in Johannesburg, and that is very popular for really developing young people that, after grade 12 or whatever it is that they do there, they basically go on to like Harvard. And I mean, some of them have been featured in the media for doing really amazing things on the continent, like solving problems. And I was mentoring some students in Lesotho that had studied at ALA. And I really loved their approach to leadership development and to raising conscious leaders or conscious young people that are aware of, where Africa is as a continent and that want to contribute. So that is really primarily why I went to do an MBA. Even when I was running my business, I haven't always felt like I'm the most entrepreneurial person. I think, even the nature of the business that I'm doing, I feel like I support entrepreneurs. I support people that are, I feel like there are real entrepreneurs that take really big risks, that solve really, really big problems. And I'm someone that can support that type of, entrepreneur. So my main motive for doing that specific MBA was more the leadership aspect, and also the fact that it focused on Africa. So we did a lot of case studies of businesses in Africa, studying different business environments. And I mean, we studied, for example, the story of MTN when they got fined in Nigeria, of FNB when it expanded into Nigeria. So it was that African experience. I would say that's the reason why I did it. But to answer your question, I do feel at the time I was solely consulting. I feel that MBA really helped me a lot more in my current role in corporate, because it gave me a more holistic view of business. And as a finance professional, we can think about risks and internal controls, and really be the gatekeepers within a business. But it helped me open my mind a bit more to like strategy, and marketing. Marketing was a big learning curve for me because my mind is just not wired like a marketer. So it really opened my mind in terms of more strategy and thinking more holistically about the business, and also trying to balance the gatekeeping aspect of business and the problem solving, and opening yourself up to being creative. And yeah, so I feel like it made me a better corporate, or a better employee, actually, because even in my role, like I said, I took on the head of strategy role. And I don't think I could have been able to deliver in that role if it wasn't, for that MBA. And then now I'm a head of finance, but in the role, my main focus is around the finance strategy and, how do we automate our processes. And the way I lead, I don't just think about, okay, we need to produce management accounts. It's also about the people within finance, how do they develop, how do they become, future leaders? And then the strategy, how does finance contribute to the broader strategy? So that's, what I can say.
Okay. It sounds
As
almost
far
like
as
an MBA.
entrepreneurship, I just want to add, like, as far as
Okay.
entrepreneurship is concerned, honestly, you just have to go. Like, that's where you learn in the trenches. I don't think you can learn about business in a classroom. And one thing that I liked about the way they taught at ALU was they always showed us how life doesn't happen according to the frameworks and the plans, and they and demonstrate that to say, when we decided to expand into this market, we had this perfect plan, and then this is, it hit the fan in this way, and this is how we responded as leaders. And sometimes they might have responded not so, not in the best way, and they would share the consequences they enjoyed. And sometimes, they would have responded very well, and then they would share, sort of celebrate their successes, basically. So it really, I like the fact that it was real. But also, as someone that supports entrepreneurs, the things we teach them in workshops, we also appreciate that that's not really how life works. They have to then solve problems. My motto actually with developing entrepreneurs is that you build the person, not the business per se, because that business can go bust the next day. But have you empowered this person to then problem solve and pivot and come up with another business or change their business model to suit the circumstances and the environment?
Okay. Well, that gives me a good understanding. I see on your long list, you've also done a master's in digital innovation and analytics. So talk us through like MBA, CA. Okay, I get that, but
Yeah.
what are the benefits? And so, why did you decide to do that? And would you recommend it for others to do as well?
Yes, so I am also someone that really, really loves technology. So, and I was introduced to it, or maybe drawn to it, I don't know, when at PwC, when they recruited us, they would basically select two people at the beginning of from the first years that would form part of the systems and process assurance team. So that is IT audit. We come in before the financial auditors come, and we tell them if they can rely on the controls or not. And so I did, quite a number of projects as part of the systems and process assurance team, but also doing the financial audits. So it really gave me a very deep understanding of internal controls and IT and IT processes within an organization. So if you look at the name Inspire Innovation, the name of our business, our consultancy, is the main vision was to really support innovators, and a lot of innovators are playing in the technology space. And so I think primarily the pull to that was, I felt it's going to make me a better consultant if I understand digital business, and digital business models and all of that. And also, I mean, right now as a head of finance, I am, like I said, one of my focus areas is developing a finance transformation strategy and finding ways to transform our finance function, our accounting function. So and it's really empowered me a lot. I mean, the nice thing is I was doing it while in my role, half in the strategy role and half in the finance role. And I did my dissertation, which was another reason I did it. The MBA that I did not have a dissertation. It was we did like a capstone project. So I wanted to have some research background as well. I love to write. You've seen, I think, on LinkedIn. I have a blog. I have intentions of writing a book as well. So I wanted that research skill as well. So the dissertation that I did was on digital transformation within finance, and how different organizations approach that. So once again, I mean, everything depends on what your dream is as a person. I think my approach to everything objective? What do I think, can help me get there? And I think as finance professionals, I mean, our profession is being so affected by technology that sometimes I feel like there's a sort of saying that says we are on earth to accompany other people. Sometimes I feel like we're just here to accompany the IT people because they are the ones that are building really innovative businesses, that are really changing, the way of the world. And so I think it has empowered me in a lot of ways. It's made me a better consultant, a better finance professional. I don't think you need to go specifically do like a master's if you want to, enhance your skills in technology. I did a master's because I wanted to do that dissertation. But I mean, there are short courses around digital transformation. UJ has some courses, I believe, in partnership with SAICA as well, where they have like a small course around understanding, the fourth industrial revolution. So the question is, what is your objective? I have a friend who's a CA that is actually doing a computer science degree part-time as they work. And, he's doing very well in his work, but I think he also felt, we are a bit left behind by these IT people, so I want to go join them. And he wanted to learn coding and systems and networking, and he wanted to get into that detail. My interest was more from a strategic perspective. I don't necessarily want to learn how to code, so it's really all up to what do you want to achieve.
What are you most interested in? Love it.
Yes.
So this is one question I like to ask all my guests. What is one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
Yes. Okay. My younger self was very shy. I doubted myself a lot. And I think it's because of a lot of things. I lost my parents. I lost my dad when I was 4 years old and my mom at 11. So I grew up, in our society, you hear a lot of what can I say, stories around, orphans are like this, orphans won't get anywhere. Like people were very nervous about, our future and where we would end up because we had lost our parents. So I think what the advice I would give to my younger self is just believe more in yourself. You are a young girl that has a good head on her shoulders. I think anyone that's, doing well in school, that is dedicated, not really getting into too much trouble. I did get into some trouble in boarding school, but I think overall, I wish I had more confidence in myself. And I wish I had gone for those opportunities, like, I was saying about PwC, the opportunity in Birmingham. I feel like I sabotaged a lot of my opportunities because of a lack of confidence in myself. And now that I'm older, I realize that, as a young person, you don't even know how life is going to unfold. I didn't know I'd be here talking to you. I didn't know that this is the path that my career would have taken. So I should have just taken every opportunity and let it unfold. But also, I think to my older self, have less regrets. Life is life, you're here now, move on and take the opportunities that you have. So don't live in that regret as well. Happen to, have taken all the opportunities. Yes. And never be afraid to start over. Never be afraid to start over.
Great advice. Great advice. We're going to switch over to questions from the audience. We've got a question from Bryn who says, what did you find was the most challenging in your CA journey?
First of all, CTA was super challenging. I actually failed my CTA. And I think what was challenging was the fact that there was sort of this expectation that it is going to be challenging. And that's what, you kept on hearing from the lecturers. And so once again, the self-doubt, started creeping in. And the biggest challenge really was failing on my CTA. I took a knock on my self-confidence, and I couldn't go do it full time because I had a bursary from PwC and they said, you have to start work. Like, we're not going to fund you again. So I had to start working and study through UNISA. But it's also, I think, my biggest blessing, because I always tell people that before I failed, I used to define myself by my achievements. So if you ask me how I'm doing, I would tell you how awesome how I passed this thing, I got a distinction for this, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't really know myself. So failing helped me to, find myself and to say, okay, am I valuable as a person, whether I pass or not? Yes. And it helped me, I believe, become the person that I am. I remember when we got to PwC, he was a marketing manager, and he basically sat us down and said, guys, there's 20 of you here. It was a small office. And only 6 of you, there'll only be space for 6 of you, post articles. So how are you going to stand out? What's going to make you different? Everyone will be a CA then. So being a CA is not like the best thing. Everyone will have it, really. You all have it in common. What will differentiate you? And that really, really also helped me dig deeper to say what kind of person I am. And like my skills, like I love teaching, I love coaching. I volunteered for things within the firm. And I don't think these are things that I would have done if I had not failed. I would have been on my high horse and felt like I'm the best thing, since sliced bread. That's how I used to be. So failing really gave me humble pie and made me reckon with myself and discover myself even more. Like there's so much more to us than our grades as people. So yeah.
100%. Any last few words from you or anything we didn't discuss that you'd like the audience to know?
Yeah, sure. I think we discussed a lot. I think one of the things that I really love to talk about to our fellow CAs or accountants is that we have so much to offer the world. I mean, whether I'm doing a role in strategy, whether I'm serving on a board or or a governance committee, I always feel like those 3 years of articles, those horrible 3 years of articles, really, really shaped me, and they shaped the way we think about structure, the way we approach problems. I think it's it makes us so much more valuable. And I think we shouldn't box ourselves as chartered accountants. I know so many chartered accountants that are not necessarily working in finance, that have pursued their passions and that are sustained by their finance skills. In business, they make business decisions differently because they are first and foremost finance people before they are artists or musicians or whatever. So I think, let's use our qualification to, first of all, pursue our dreams, enhance our own lives, and then to have a social impact. Like so many environments need our skills. I serve in a council in the public sector. We are needed there. Sometimes we have meetings and I'm like, if I wasn't here, I'm scared at, what the outcome would have been, because the way we think about risk and governance and all of that. So I really think being a CA, in as much as I didn't love accounting, I think studying accounting is one of the best decisions. I think it's much easier to move from accounting to any other profession within business than the other way around. Like for someone to, be a marketer and want to go into accounting, it would take a whole, different difficult journey. So I think we're quite privileged, and yeah, let's use our skills to make an impact in our communities.
That's a great way to end off. The show has been live on YouTube and should be available on podcast by tomorrow. If you're watching live on YouTube or listening on the podcast and you feel that it's added value, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. Likeleli, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks everyone for joining us for another episode of Tooways to Skin a Cat. Goodbye.